Hello, I have Rodrigo from Chile here. Could you tell us about the situation with coronavirus in Chile?
Yes. Well, here, as you all may know, we are in the southern hemisphere, so we are a country that is very far away from when this thing started. We're very far away from China. We're very far away from Europe. So we were looking at the developments of the coronavirus in China and also in Europe, and we were more like witnesses of it rather than real people impacted by it. However, as the virus started spreading, we started to getting a little bit more worried, and in the end, we knew that it was going to be coming and entering our borders anytime soon. So the first thing that we thought is, well, this thing is not getting controlled by governments of developed countries. So what's going to be for us in the future? Are we going to get infected? What are the lessons learned in the other countries so that we can apply them before we get the big hit from the virus? And we started, trying to get prepared for the situation, but I think, in my opinion, things were not done as fast as we would wanted to, because the government was a little bit skeptic at the first moment of it, and then when they decided to take measures, it was a little bit late, in my opinion. And there's also a cultural factor here that that people thought this thing is coming from far away, so it's going to take ages to get here. And when it gets, I think it's going to be just something that's going to affect a part of the population that is more vulnerable to the disease, and it's not going to be of a big impact to the normal person, to the normal day-to-day worker. Uh, However, we've noticed that this is far from the truth, because when we had our first case of infected person, this person was from the south of the country, and then they had to track, when he arrived at the airport, and then he went to his hometown, and how many people he met during the trip to his hometown, how many people everybody thought they were infected. And in the end, it turned out that he infected a lot of people.
Oh.
That was our first, case zero, as they call it. And that was of something that was surprising to us all, because we thought the zero case was going to be identified right at the airport and be put away somewhere isolated, and there we could start controlling the situation. But in the end, it turned out that he just went to his hometown and started spreading the disease from there. Then we had a couple of not a couple, but almost 5 kids that were on vacation with their parents in Italy. They took a plane, came back home, and then they went to school because it was the end of the summertime here. School was starting.
Mm-hmm.
I say, you see where I'm coming from. So they went
Yeah.
to school and they spread the disease to the other kids, and then the kids themselves started spreading the disease to the parents, and that was something that was not controlled at that time. And when the government realized that there was something serious, and we had to apply the lessons learned from the other countries immediately, it was a bit too late, because we had already um, two two sprouts of disease in the country that were not under control, and when we started keeping track of those, it was already too late. It was too widespread. And now the situation is that the government ordered quarantine for everybody in 7 districts of the country that were the districts that were most um, impacted by the spread of the disease. And so they took some statistics and they realized that infections were concentrated in 2 main areas. One in the south of the country in a province called Bio Bio, and the other one here in the capital city, Santiago, but in the eastern part of the city, which is more like the wealthy part of the city, where people concentrate more capital. And the reason for that is that they are the people who are able to do the most traveling. So they were coming back from countries that were the primary source of the disease, and that's how they started spreading the disease in their own districts. So the thing is that we have 7 districts at the moment with total quarantine, and we need to have a special permits to go to the supermarket or to go to the drugstore, which are the only businesses that are allowed to work normally, because otherwise we will run into a crisis of supplies. Hopefully, it hasn't gotten there yet, but hopefully we won't. But it is still something that we count as a risky situation.
And if you want to come, let's say that you live in a district which isn't in quarantine, can you go to those districts where is quarantine or it is closed?
No, they are now closed. They were open until last Wednesday, I think. They were open. We were able to go. I live in a district where there's no quarantine safely. But I have to, if I want to go to the next district, which is on quarantine, I have to go through checkpoints. And the checkpoints, they take your temperature to see if you have a fever or something. If you do have a fever, they don't let you in. And now, apart from that, you need to have a permit that allows you to go in, and you have to have a justifiable reason to go in there. So the district where my company sits, has the headquarters, is in one of the districts that has the quarantine. So I have my office there. If I want to go to the office, I have to have a special permission to go to the office, and the permit has to say he is allowed to go to the office because he has to perform a critical task that cannot be performed remotely. That's the only exception that they would give me. Fortunately, I don't have any critical tasks to run. I can do all the tasks from my house, so I have a connection here, and I try to work, do home office as part of my team does as well, because I have 6 team members that work under my wing, and they have to work from home as well. And some of them live in quarantine areas, some of them don't, but we all try to keep it like that, working from home. And it was also made mandatory by our company to safeguard the health of the employees, not to go to places where there's quarantine, or not to transit out of your house if you don't need to.
So you can't leave your house whenever you like if you are in the region under quarantine, or can you?
No, I can, but there's also a curfew that's a general curfew that happens at 10 every day, at 10 at night, and it lasts until 5 a.m. in the morning the next day. So at nights we cannot go out because there's a curfew for everybody, not just for the districts in quarantine. But
I see.
during the day we can, yes, in the case of my district, yes, I can go out and my wife can go out, and I can also walk my dog and everything normally, but I cannot go near the quarantine district, which is just a few blocks away. I was lucky. I just missed the checkpoint by 2 blocks.
Oh. And if you are in the quarantine district, you can't go out at all, or how does it work
No,
there?
you can't go out at all. You need to have a permit, as I said. If you want to go to the supermarket, for example, you need to have a special permit that is issued by the Chilean police, stating that you're the designated person in your household to go to the supermarket or to go to the drugstore, because the government also asks people to designate only one person to go out to get supplies and to get medicines in case it's needed.
Hmm. And when you go outside, do you need to wear the mask or not?
That's that's something that if you want, it's up to you. You can decide if you wear a mask or not. We have been uh, told by the government and by the sanitary authority here in Chile that the masks are not very effective against this, because yes, if you are somebody that got the disease but is not showing symptoms, you don't know that you have the disease, so you can be infecting someone outside without knowing, not
Yeah.
intentionally. But they say that just for the sake of that, you should wear a mask, because if you have a cough or something, you wear the mask and that prevents the disease from spreading. But anyhow, if you touch a doorknob or in the elevators, if you push the buttons or anything, the disease can be there as well. So it's not that it's not going to prevent that you get the disease, but it can prevent that you spread it to others.
Yes,
So
yes.
that's
So still,
why,
it's better to wear it, I guess.
yeah, I do wear it. I have it. I don't have it here right now, but I do have it somewhere, and I have one in my car as well. When I go out, yes, I put the mask. Uh, I know that it won't keep me safe myself, but it will help others in case I have the disease, but I don't know it.
Yes, yes. And is it easy to get a mask? Is there enough
Uh,
mask for everybody who wants to get
Not
it?
right now. Not right now. No, no, we're in short supply of masks, and we're in short supply of gel to for the hands, and
Mhm.
we we
What kind of gel?
it's a gel that has alcohol. It's like a liquid soap,
Mm-hmm.
and we run out of those as well, because people, when the disease started to get serious here, uh,
I
people
see.
started flooding the drugstores and flooding the supermarkets, trying to get those kind of supplies. And when it was my time to go there, there were hardly any left. So
Mm.
uh, I had bought some masks a couple of weeks before, because I was lucky, because I take my dog to the vet, or I take it to for a bath, at the vet. And when I take my dog, I'm a little allergic to my dog, to the hair. So I bought masks for that, but in the end I bought like 10 or 15 masks, and then when the thing started hitting us, I already had masks at home. But if
Ah,
I
that was good luck.
what cold, and inadvertently I had masks. But if I hadn't had masks, it would have been very hard for me to get one nowadays. Yes.
Mhm. And is there any special governmental help for old people who can't walk themselves to the shop? Is there any service from the government, or the families would have to help old people to get some shopping for them?
You mean the elderly?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah, for the elderly, no, there's no special help from the government. What there is that there are companies that are trying to make deliveries, especially for the elderly, but they have to order those by internet. The problem we have is that the elders, at least here in Chile, are not very computer knowledgeable.
I see. Mm-hmm.
So when you go to them and say the solution is that you log into the internet and you ask for a delivery of your product, they go like, "Woo! And how do I do that? How do I turn off a computer like that?" And many of them don't have computers either. So it's more like a cultural issue rather than uh, than we don't have a solution for it.
Mm-hmm. I see, but at least there is that option, because what else could be there?
Yeah, there is the
Yeah.
option, and of course, there here in Chile. Chile is a very family-based country, so it's not unusual that you find um, households where they have the grandfather, the father, and the grandson living there, and the granddaughter, the grandma, and the mother. So in those cases, yes, there's a designated person who is usually the mother or the father who are designated to go to the drugstore or to the supermarket, and they can get the products that the elderly need.
Mm-hmm.
But yes,
Okay.
there's a chunk of the population that could be left alone at this at their own sake, because they are elders and don't have a computer, don't know how to use them, and don't have
Mm-hmm.
family members to help them. So there is a
I
situation
see.
there.
Mm-hmm.
There's still no formal answer to that from the government. So I hope that in the next few days they have devised a solution
Mm-hmm.
to tackle that chunk of the population.
Okay, so thank you very much for telling us about the situation in Chile, and let's hope that it will get better soon, that it will last for a very long time. Thank you very much.
Oh no, thank you, thank you. We hope that it's not going to be as bad as in Europe because we have been following the trend and the curve. It looks like it's not as steep as it is in the European countries, but nonetheless, it's getting a little bit higher than we wanted to. But I hope the measures will be enough to keep it flat and not to let it spike.
Yeah,
Spike,
hopefully.
then will be in trouble because, as you know, it's very difficult for countries like emerging countries like Chile. We don't have a big uh, how can I say it? We don't have a lot of money from taxes that can help in situations like this. We barely uh, make it in a normal year with the tax collections, and we have tax cuts all the time, and we also try to get what we can from the taxes that people pay and companies pay. But now with this situation, I think if we're going to be needing more resources from the government is going to have to get funds from somewhere else because we don't have a lot of money there, to be honest. So let's see
Mhm.
how it works. I
Yeah, let's see.
hope it will work fine, and we're not going to get a spike in the disease here. And if we don't, then things can be. control. If we run into a situation where the thing gets out of control, then we're going to be in serious trouble.
But let's hope that this doesn't happen.
Yeah, no, fingers crossed, fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Okay, thank you very much for telling us about this, and yeah, let's see what
Yeah,
happens.
sure.
Bye bye.
Thanks for inviting me. Bye bye. Take care.
Bye bye. My pleasure.
Bye bye.